Hello, top six, or should I say, investigators. There's been a murder, and it's up to you to solve it. Specifically, there's been 6 murders. It's gonna be up to you to solve them. This game is called Alphabet Seance. Here's how it goes. One person will be joining the cast as a guest this week. They will be our medium. 6 murders have recently occurred in the in-game dilemma universe. And the medium is able to communicate with the victims to figure out who the murderers are. However, this medium can only speak in one-word answers, and it's up to you to get the information out of them. Here's how it works. There are 12 suspects. We will be putting their profiles around the wall, or on the TV. It depends on whether or not I got it printed. Each suspect holds 8 items. 4 potential murder weapons, and 4 damning clues that gave them away at the murder scene. In court. Whatever. To successfully solve the murder, you must get the murderer, their weapon, and the clue that gave them away. So here are some ground rules about the suspects and the clues and the weapons. The clues and the weapons are attached to the suspect. So if that suspect is the murderer, the clues and weapons listed on their suspect sheet will be the weapon and clue. The killer is randomly selected each round, and the medium chooses the weapon and the clue. The medium cannot speak to the players and can only answer in one-word answers based on the questions you ask. I'll get to the details of what you can ask in a second. The medium cannot have one-on-ones with players. They can only appear in front of you during the public questioning phase and in the voting booth where you'll be asking private questions during the investigations. First is the public seance, where every player will simultaneously reveal a yes or no question about the murder. Questions are revealed simultaneously so that players cannot react to other players' questions after they have been asked. The medium will answer the yes or no questions in front of everyone. In subsequent rounds, players cannot repeat a yes or no question that has already been asked. The medium will be the ultimate judge of what counts as a repeated yes or no question. I'm giving them complete control over whether or not the spirit of the question has already been asked. So for example, if someone asks, is the killer a man? And then later the question is asked, is the killer male? I will let the medium decide if that is a repeated question or not. Is that frustrating? Yeah. That's the point. This game is about you navigating subjectivity and trying to find objectivity in this random person who you can't fully talk to. You're allowed to repeat a yes or no question by spending 2 coins. You can do this either in advance or after the medium has already rejected your question. Invalid yes or no questions that are not paid for with 2 coins will go unanswered. After the public questions are finished, the medium will be escorted to the voting booth, where they will take individual private questions. Every investigation lasts 20 minutes. Every time you go into the voting booth to talk to the medium, you can only ask 1 question at a time, and you must give other players a turn to go before you go again. But basically, if someone's waiting, you can't, bar them out. Whenever you go to the medium to ask a private question, you must ask an either-or question with one-word answers. For example, is the killer tall or short? Is the murder weapon big or mini? Every time you ask one of these either-or questions, the first letter of each of your options cannot be repeated by you in subsequent rounds. So you get 26 letters in the alphabet, and you could use each one once. So for those questions I just asked, I can no longer use T, S, B, or N as the starting letter. You can revive a letter by burning 2 letters of your choice. Players ask their either-or questions privately, and they receive their answers privately. The medium will answer either-or questions by responding with one of the prompts, or by responding neither. Questions are valid so long as they offer 2 one-word options. The options must be one word so that production can know which letters are being spent. Spelling counts in that the first letter of the word must be the correct first letter of the word. So you can't say Q potato. You may not phrase your questions in a way that changes the definition of the options you're offering. So you can't say, is the killer Benjamin? Say xylophone if yes, and say vixen if the answer is no. That's illegal. Like the murders you'll be solving. Additionally, the Christian name of each weapon and clue on the sheets will count as one word. So for example, one of the items on the papers is Spotify Wrapped. So you can say, is the weapon axe or Spotify Wrapped? And Spotify Wrapped will count as one word, spending S. So how do we determine who wins and who loses? Here we go. I'll be sending you all a link to a Google form quiz, which will ask for your name, the killer's weapon, and the damning clue. You must submit your answers via Google form within the 20-minute investigation. Players can score 3 points based on what they get right: the killer, the clue, and the weapon. You'll have your score multiplied based on how quickly you submit your answer. The first person to submit an answer with anything correct will have their score multiplied by 6. The second person will have their score multiplied by 5. The third player to submit something with anything correct will have their score multiplied by 4, and so on. You get the gist. Players who get nothing correct will not be counted in the ranking for multiplications. So for example, if I submit something immediately and say Benjamin killed the person with a mushroom and a table was the clue, and none of that is correct, then the second person who submits something, if they get something right, they get times 6. They get the benefit of the first person to finish. Additionally, once that we've booked a killer, they'll be removed from the suspect list. So round 1 will have 12 suspects, round 2 will have 11, round 3 will have 10, and so on. The game will end after 6 murder investigations. Alternatively, the game will end after every single player gets every single question wrong. At the end of the game, players will receive an additional point for every letter that remains unused. The player with the highest score wins immunity to share and 10 coins to take home. The player with the lowest score will enter the duel. Good luck and happy investigating!